It's that time again, folks. It's time for the original Dragon Talk Radio. I'm your host, John Clement. Are you ready? Let's do this thing. Welcome back to the original Dragon Talk Radio. Today's show is going to be a little bit shorter for a few reasons. One of them you can probably already hear in my voice a little bit, that I've kind of got a frog in my throat this week, so there's that. Also this week, around here where I am in the world anyway, it is the last week of the 2023-2024 school year, and I work in education, so I'm having a kind of a really slammed week. Didn't have an episode yesterday on Monday. Today's Tuesday. So yesterday, so the vision for the show right now is to be a Monday through Friday thing. I need my Saturdays and Sundays for other things in my life right now. But got a lot of great feedback on the show this past weekend, and I wanted to address one of those pieces of feedback and then promote something really cool. If you're watching this visually on YouTube or one of our other platforms, you can see the picture of Don Espino de la Rosa riding a dinosaur there. So we're going to promote that and talk about that in just a minute. But first I want to address some of the feedback that I got this past weekend. Last Friday I did what I kind of call a rant and rave video about a comment that DC Comics had made about Cassandra Cain Batgirl being able to basically just kick Batman's butt any day of the week. And the quote was, "There's not even a debate." So yes, I did rant and rave. But over the weekend, I got some people thought that maybe I didn't already know, because we all hear, the news is moving so fast. We all hear news at different speeds and stuff. And, but they pointed out, last week, I think, it was a big deal to gamers and stuff like that, Wizards of the Coast had retroactively, gaslightingly retconned, and what I mean by gaslightingly retconned is saying it was always this way. Kind of like Games Workshop, there have always been female custodies. And if you are aware of George Orwell's 1984, there's a lot of comments on the internet about this kind of gaslighting retconning is, we've always been at war with East Asia. So, just some weird, Orwellian stuff going on there. But, so, it was a big thing in the gamer, rant and rave type news about, the iconic, fighter, going up against a red dragon that was originally on the Dungeons and Dragons red box in the 80s. Wizards of the Coast, over 40 years later, just retroactively decides that was a woman and not a man. And Larry Elmore, the guy who drew the original picture, even came out and said it was a man, and even showed the original picture that picture came from. So apparently that picture was supposed to be an entire party of adventurers fighting the red dragon, and there was a female mage, magic user they called him back then, blasting some magic at the dragon too, and the fighter was tanking, as we say, up front. And at the time, Gary Gygax, who was still alive and very much in charge back then, he thought that the picture would come off better if it just focused on that fighter in front. And so the rest of the adventuring party was kind of clipped away. But I've seen pictures on the internet of the original picture juxtaposed next to the final picture that came out back then and made it to the cover, and a whole bunch of t-shirts and everything else. And but now, like, Wizards of the Coast has an action figure of this woman that guy supposedly always was, and has always been a woman all along for over 40 years. So one of our listeners in the Boston area said, "Hey John, why don't you comment on this?" Well, I guess I just sort of did in explaining what the whole deal is. But what I don't want to do always, I'm going to do it a little bit because I'm a fan just like the rest of y'all. And I certainly did it on Friday with the Batman Cassandra Cain Batgirl thing. But what I don't want the original Dragon Talk Radio to do like all the time or have it be its main thing is I don't want us to just, rant and rave and report on, what's going wrong, what the big corporations are getting wrong with our franchises that we are fans of. And I did say our franchises that we are fans of because, we know legalistically the corporations own the franchises as intellectual property, blah, 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 blah. But it's a part of our culture. It's a part of our society. These characters are icons that mean something to us. And so that's why here at the original Dragon Talk Radio, we promote, fans curating their own fan culture. But anyway, enough preaching. To get to my point is I don't want that to become like a main thing. There are people that do that very, very well, and I'm huge fans of them. I like Geeks and Gamers. I like Nerdrotic. I like Endymion. I like The Critical Drinker. I'm going to leave some out now. Once you start listing things, then you end up leaving some out. But I watch a lot of these things, all the time. Pretty much every day I watch. Oh, Yellow Flash. Yellow Flash is another good one. But there are channels that do this very, very well, and they don't need me to copy them. They don't need. I don't need to just chime in and add my voice to. They do that very well. They've got all that covered on YouTube and other platforms. The quartering. The quartering isn't just geek and gamer type news, but it does cover that a lot. The quartering is awesome. I watch a lot of these things. I watch at least some of these. I may not watch all of them in one day, but I watch a lot of these things. Something from this kind of content creator. I watch something from that kind of content creator every day. And I don't necessarily want to just rant and rave about what the corporations are getting wrong. I want to, the original Dragon Talk Radio to be about, the rise of non-woke entertainment. If you go to our website, smurdiverse.com, that's our tagline there. It is time for the rise of non-woke entertainment. It's time for we, the small companies, we, the fans, to be doing our thing. So I don't intend to be, so in response to our listener in the Boston area, I don't intend to be doing that all the time every day, just responding to some outrage the next time that some woke corporation just jabs their finger in our eye as fans. I'm not, I'd rather focus on the positive and be showcasing and creating and adding to the conversation about positive non-woke entertainment. So having said that, speaking of using that as a segue into positive non-woke entertainment, a serialized fiction novel that I have up as a Kindle Vella is Dinospino de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dreadcastle. And the picture that we have for today's episode is intended to be for that. That's Dinospino de la Rosa riding a dinosaur, and it's not necessarily anatomically correct. But it's a fantasy world, so it's a fantasy dinosaur. But so for those of you that don't already know or don't already read or haven't heard me promote this before, Dinospino de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dreadcastle is based on the Dungeons and Dragons and other fantasy games adventuring table that my sons grew up with me DMing for them, and a whole bunch of us other friends. Friends their age and friends my age and everything in between over the years. The proceeds for Dinospino de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dreadcastle are intended to go to the Hearts of the Fathers Foundation, which is a foundation that we are starting here at Smurdiverse Entertainment. And one of the issues that Hearts of the Fathers is intended to address in our society is that of parental alienation. And so Dinospino de la Rosa was is my younger son's character, and Deldrick Rumble the other member of the intrepid pair. That's my older son's character. And it's so those characters are based very much on the way my sons, would play those characters. It's the setting is a game world that I made up. Jasmia, Jasmia. That stands for John, Anita, Sabrina, Max, Ian, Angel. So it's me, my wife, and my kids. The first letters of our names just happen to be the right consonant and vowel combination to be a pronounceable word. The planet is mostly jungle, so we can do Jungles of Jasmia, because I'm a sucker for alliteration. And I realized that when I was going to be writing that kind of stuff, game literature type stuff, I was going to have to do kind of like Matt Mercer did with Critical Role and with Exandria. I was going to have to create stuff that was enough mine, that I wouldn't get sued, not step on anybody's, intellectual property toes, like Watsy there, gonna have to, write in such a way that I didn't stomp on anybody's intellectual property toes. So Jasmia is the game world. I'll probably get around to publishing, real products for it one day, published products. Right now at the Game Shop's basement, if you go to gameshopsbasement.com, there are some games where you could actually play in Jasmine and have me DM for you. That's a thing. But anyway, I've probably gone on pretty long here. And I intended for this to be short. So I wanted to cover my response to how I don't necessarily want the original Dragon Talk Radio to be just this rant and rave thing. But I also wanted to cover, the Donna Spina de la Rosa and stuff like that, because that is the Smurdiverse Entertainment product of the day today, is Donna Spina de la Rosa and the Dinos of Dreadcastle. If you're not familiar with serialized fiction, it's a Kindle Vella form of serialized fiction. The link is down below. And so it's a book that you'll be able to read online. There are 6 chapters now, and the chapters are just going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on. That's why we call it serialized. So check that out, and we will see you tomorrow. Probably the rest of this week is probably going to be short episodes because, like I said, this is the end of the 2023-2024 school year this week, and I do work in education. But next week we will be working at bringing you some guests, so it's more than just me talking about fantasy and gaming and comic books and cartoons and novels and movies and all this stuff we love. All right, so this is the original Dragon Talk Radio signing off for today.